developing, facilitating and developing the less privileged in Africa. I am here in Oxford and I'm here with one of our great personalities in Nigeria. I'm here with the eldest son of late Ikem Debe Ojukwu, one of our icons, and we're having a commemoration today. Chief Debe Ojukwu. Welcome to Tinu Show, sir.
Thank you very much, madam.
I do apologize for not getting the pronunciation very well. Chief, I am honored to be your midst today, and we so appreciate you and your personality. What we're doing here today, sir, can you explain what it's all about?
Thank you very much. Okay. The name is Chief Debe Ojukwu. We're here in Oxford for a commemorative ceremony to celebrate my late father, Dim Ojukwu. I feel so much enamored of the event because being that he was an ex-student of Oxford, it's quite gratifying to have Oxford remember him after so many years. It only goes to show that he left his footprints on the sands of time. Yeah.
And what I remember is that late Ojukwu, he was an icon. What a man that brought unity between the people of Nigeria. We're not just talking about a specific the tribe of Igbo, but he wanted the unity between the three tribes, the major tribes that constitute into the major population of 150 million people. He wanted unity between all of them. Is that one of the? Am I right by saying that? He wanted love, he wanted unity, he wanted to promote that into other qualities he laid down.
Thank you. Ojukwu, in his lifetime and even during his transition, portended all that was unity for Nigeria and the whole world.
That's it.
In fact, he has always regaled me with a story of his experience during Nigeria's independence celebration. He was so much in love with that story, and that was to the effect that at a point during the Empire Day celebrations in Nigeria, they had this penchant of always dressing him up as an Hausa page boy during any of the ceremonies. So with that, an Igbo boy being so enchanted about that will tell you that he didn't see anything tribalistic. What happened later on was something that he was pushed into. It was something that the situation on ground, he couldn't have done otherwise. He had always stood for unity and love for the people, and that translated into the kind of funeral ceremony he had, which I think had been unprecedented as far as Nigeria is concerned.
Excellent. He played a great role within during the Civil War, the Biafra War, didn't he? And that role has even brought Nigeria to what it is today. But can you tell us that unique role he really played? Something sui generis about that role?
Well, people tend to take ceramics for granted, to the effect that once you have it around and its utility tend to mask the fact that it is so fragile that without the drop off from the hand, it could really shatter. The Biafran Civil War is not something anybody should regret, but then it's a throwback, and it drew home to Nigerians the fact that our unity was very tenuous, and it was something we needed to handle very carefully and seriously. And I think the unity we're enjoying now to some extent, and the mutual respect most of the tribes have for each other, could somewhat be attributable to that war. And I think that was one thing my father would always be remembered for. He never set out for a quaka or fission of Nigeria. He always wanted Nigeria to be united. And that was why even when he came back from exile, he did a twist which so many people found very difficult to understand. He joined the National Party of Nigeria against all permutations. And that was because he felt, well, if this other one didn't work out, let's still try to build the country. And he did that until he left.
Excellent. All the efforts of late Pa Ojukwu, can you see the efforts being laid down properly? For example, I know that he was one of those role models and a good example of those that brought independence, that even gave us the heart of seeking independence during the days of during the colonial days. So he played a good role there, and we all worked together during those days to get ourselves free from colonial masters. And now we're like 52 years after, into the independence. But can you tell us if that has really, are they good examples of that happening now? Can you see all these efforts?
Nigeria as a whole doesn't have a problem.
Doesn't?
Yes. My grandfather financed Nigeria's independence. It was against all permutations, because his wealth was built by his association with the British. It was then that it was difficult for him to have jettisoned all that he gained from the British to side his people. But he did that. He financed most of the nationalist struggles. And when he did that, his own son came up again, despite being trained to be very nationalistic. When he found the whole thing towards the extermination of Ndibo, he stood up and fought for it.
Excellent.
So those things are there. The only bane of the Nigerian society is corruption.
Corruption is
nepotism and tribalism. Once you remove these three factors from Nigeria, you find out that Nigeria is a very good nation.
Excellent,
Yes.
excellent. Has Nigeria leveraged fully on the advantages of independence?
Unfortunately, no, they have not. And that is why the youth is now agitating. Biafra itself, in essence, is as a result of injustice. If you remove injustice, there is no Nigerian that would like to opt out of that nation. Nobody. But when you have injustice being very permissive, there are bound to be agitations.
Agitation?
Yes, agitations for...
To be agitated unnecessarily?
Yeah, no, agitation for separatism. Like now in Nigeria, you have the Ogonis wanting to opt out. You have the Bakasis, you have the Hausas and all that. All these are because of corruption.
Easterners.
Yes, yes. When you remove that corruption, you find that everybody will be comfortable in Nigeria.
When you remove all the negations that are affecting the development in that country, when you remove all that, can we have that nationhood in Nigeria? Rather than, different states, like Northerners, Southerners, Easterners, having a kind of a careful flow unnecessarily. How can we remove all that and have that nationhood, like unity between all that? What late Pa Ojukwu really wanted, how can we achieve that with what we're doing today?
My own surgical analysis of that is that could best be removed from the leadership. The leadership, unfortunately, has not led us fully by example. If you have corruption, if it's able to be exercised from the leadership, then it will trickle down to the common person. But unfortunately, this has not been so.
It's not been so. So corruption is the major, like a catastrophe affecting other areas.
It's very cancerous.
It
and
is.
Yes, and it needs to be exercised. Yes, it needs to be exercised. We need to have leaders who will go into offices richer than they come out. Yes. We need really to have leaders who will assume positions of leadership and come out poorer.
Who are selfless.
Yes.
People
will know that really they've gone to give service to the people.
Excellent.
Yes, not a question of going there. You loot the public treasury and use that money to set up, to buy houses in foreign lands. When you could easily, when easily you could have used that money to set up industries back home. The teeming youths that are today unemployed would have found
That's true.
places of occupation, and that will arrest the drive towards going to foreign lands to go and
That's true.
eke out a living, which they could have done minimally at home. So that's why.
Unemployment has caused so many people a kind of a deprivation in other aspects of their life, and then there's some graduates who have worked hard, who have worked honestly, relentlessly, and they're willing to develop themselves. So what advice do we give people like that who still have hope? And even those that feel a little bit dismayed, how can we encourage them that Nigeria will get better?
The way of encouraging them is they should take their destiny in their hands. And that is by ensuring that the government again hoists a very good electoral process. Not a situation, not allowing people to buy votes. Like what happens in America now, everybody's watching it. Everybody is so excited. Mitt Romney is a very rich man. But ordinarily, one would haven't expected a very strict, stiff competition from Obama. Obama is not near as rich as Mitt Romney, but that's a very good society. It is because the society is transparent. That's why things like that are happening. I need to see a replay, a rehash of such things in Africa, where people will go and be models, and they are elected on basis
Of their quality.
Of their quality, and not necessarily because they're buying votes. So those people will now go in, render the service, and come up quality service. Because if all the appropriations are well directed, you need in a particular year you have certain number of roads, certain number of health institutions, and all this, and they are properly constructed for the masses. Then all these problems wouldn't be there.
Will resolve, yeah. You are so much like a replica of late Ojukwu. There's so much like him. It's just like seeing him in person when anyone sees you. I remember my mom always make a joke that I'm so much like my father. I'm so much like my father's mother, who is so much like the daughter. So it's... What you miss about late Ojukwu?
I miss his advice and the way he had always related with me. For instance, we were joking one day, and then I told him, for instance, if you were sitting on a couch with your friend and suddenly you'll bend over and try to lace your shoes, and spontaneously, I'm trying to raise your head, you found out that the person had struck a machete where you were sitting there before. And then I said, what do you do in the circumstances? He now told me that, well, that the wisest thing he would do is to get up, look him over, and then move very far away from him. I said, why? He said the reason why he said sorry after he missed out was that your head was not off. That if the person's head were to be off, there wouldn't have been anybody to say sorry to.
That's true.
Because those are the pack of things.
Wonderful.
Kind of things, you know, the way we relate, he uses proverbs, allegories and things like that to situate situations and leaves an indelible lesson in my mind.
Thank you so much, Chief. So could you please give our people the final word? What we're doing today is remembering our father, late Ojukwu, and what advice would you like to give people? Because if he wasn't a great personality, he won't be remembered. There's so many other, people who died the same year and who were like leaders, who were even not remembered at all. But the good ones never die, do they? They're always in our memory. So we do appreciate the time he had on earth. We appreciate your time here, sir. And we would like you to just give us one or two advice how we can always relate to each other in a more loving way in Nigeria. We need love. We need love. We Nigerians need love. We need to understand the importance of unity, the importance of togetherness. The spirit of togetherness should always prevail whatever we do. And that's what we're doing today. That's why we're celebrating late Pa Ojukwu. And we're just going to have the final word from Chief Ojukwu.
Well, it's also evident. So evident that we're celebrating him. Usually with a transition, he puts a lid on the coffin, so to speak. But then he is transited and still yet very far in Oxford. It had been deemed expedient to still celebrate him. So the only thing I say is that we loved him. And we loved him. We have learned him. Let us always live him. Yes, once we live, emulate that his life, all shall be well.
Amen.
It is not, it's not enough celebrating him and then casting it away. We celebrate him. Let's try in our different facets to live that life.
To live the life he left behind.
He led, yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so and my audience and my fans, I say thank you for watching Tinu Show. And I'm sure you've heard it all. You had wealthy advice from our chief, and I do believe that we all will emulate the good footsteps that late Pa Ojukwu left behind. And this is what we need. We need selfless leaders. We need a country without corruption. A country where graduates who have studied so hard will be able to be employed into the into any field they prefer. Those with great expertise, we want them to work hard. We want the best. We want our health service to continually improve. We don't want deterioration in other departments. So let's join hands together. Let's support each other. Let's work in unity, like late Pa Ojukwu always wanted. So I'm still here in Oxford, and we're celebrating the life of late Pa Debe Ojukwu. Thank you for watching Tinu Show. Take care of yourselves and smiles. Bye bye.